What is going on, guys? It is Sunday night, so it is time for another installment of the I-71 Playbook Podcast. I'm BB, and with me, as always, is BC.
Hey, BB. Happy Sunday.
Hi. Happy Sunday, sir. We need to stop with the breaking news. So we will get to that in a minute.
Yeah, coming on the pod here in a little bit. Actually, I want to start with something that is very unfamiliar to us people in Northeast Ohio. Something going right for a team in Cleveland. Something timing wise, something luck wise. So if you were asleep last night, you may have missed one of the biggest transactions in the history of the NBA last night. Luka Doncic goes from the Mavs with some collateral damage going with them to the LA Lakers to play with LeBron and return future Hall of Famer, the Brow coming back. Anthony Davis coming back to Dallas, and like I said, one of the more surprising trades. Crazy thing was, it's really hard to say that LeBron is the de facto GM at LA because he did not know about this. Nobody did. And the crazy thing is, I saw this report last night while it's actually just laying in bed playing on my phone, and Shams Charania posted it, but he didn't break this. Like he posted it after transaction. So Woj, Windhurst, Charania, none of those guys got this story. Yeah, like this was out of the blue. Nobody saw this coming except for the brass of Dallas and LA.
Those who had to know knew, and
and that was it. And that in this day and age, that just doesn't happen. So with
the Adam Schefters and the Pete Thielens and
right, and it's just kind of crazy that not even the agents got a hold of this. I mean, these players had no idea this was happening.
Whoa. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know the agents were completely gone too.
Well, if the agents would have got a hold of it, this is where Shams Charania or Wojnarowski and all those guys would have got it. Right. They would have known this. Oh, we got big news coming down, possible trade. That didn't happen. It just like
an honest to God gotcha moment.
If anything, kudos to the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers on this trade. Definitely out of the blue. But anyway, back to I-71, back to Cleveland. It's got the land shirt on. The Cavs actually benefited from this trade tonight.
The last time that we talked about the Cavs on this pod, they lost.
They got spanked.
So, and it was bad. So
no, what happened was just so happens who was scheduled to play at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse against the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight? Oh, the Dallas Mavericks. Without Luka, without Anthony Davis, and no Kyrie. Kyrie wasn't playing. I mean, go figure. Kyrie being injured.
Yeah, that's surprising.
But yeah, so the Cavs won by 41 today. They scored 91 points in the first half. They were up by 45 at halftime. At the half. Yeah, it was 91 to 46 at the half.
Wow.
So the Cavs will definitely take that, and they definitely benefited from that trade, at least in the short term. The West has changed. Just a couple things. I just have to wonder, and thinking about this trade, I just have to wonder, and it goes back to Northeast Ohio, has LeBron given a heads up to the Lakers that he might be done here in a year or two? I mean, he is 40. He is 40 years old.
Yeah, that hurts too.
I know. I chased after my dog when I was 40 and almost pulled a hammy. So like this guy's still posterizing, teenagers on the regular.
Those who can, play on the Lakers. Those who can't, podcast apparently. So there we go. I did see something earlier that he was coming back, and there wasn't anything about retirement. I was in the middle of the grocery store, so I didn't fully read it. So I say maybe he's sticking around for at least another year, if that.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, because here's the thing with Luka. He plays the exact same position. Like they are both threes. And now I know in the NBA, like it's kind of a positionless game right now.
It is.
But Luka is now the heir apparent. He's only 25. Like, doesn't it seem like he's been in the league forever?
It does.
And he's 25 years old. So like, I just wonder. This makes me wonder about LeBron's future. That's it. And well, it just kind of crazy. But I will tell you this: if that were the case, this is a great trade for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is going to be 32 here next month.
Okay.
Luka's 25. Luka, I mean, both of them are. I believe both of them have been MVPs. I believe.
I think you're right on that.
Anthony Davis, arguably maybe the best defensive player in the NBA. Not to mention, he does. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But once again, for the Lakers, I think this is just an awesome trade for them, because
yes.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron's getting up there. He's not going to play forever, and you're replacing him with probably the next person closest to his skill set in the NBA today. So hey, good for that trade. Way to keep it quiet, Lakers and Mavs, and go Cavs.
So speaking of not keeping things quiet,
good transition.
Wow. So I was we did Sunday dinner today with the family. So we had the Pro Bowl shenanigans on, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But they broke it on the Pro Bowl that Chip Kelly, our offensive coordinator, is leaving Columbus, and he is apparently, what happens in Vegas apparently is Chip Kelly. So he's going back to the NFL as their offensive coordinator, which for Las Vegas, offense was definitely not their strong suit this year. But then again, neither was ours.
I can tell you from seeing the Browns and the Raiders play in person in Vegas this past fall. Mm-hmm. The comment that was shared amongst the group, I actually made the comment about the second quarter. I looked at everybody and I said, these are two really bad football teams. Like, these are two really, really bad football teams that are not going to win anything. And that was game 3, game 4. I mean, it was the end of September, right. So maybe game 3, game 4. Yeah, because the Browns are 1-2 at that time. And I was just like thinking at that point, you once you saw it, I watched the first. I was at Huntington Bank Field for the home opener against Dallas. They get blown out, but it's a home opener, and the Browns still have a good history there. They've still had good years after that. But man, when I left Allegiant Field, walking through 106-degree desert heat from that stadium to the it was about a mile walk. You had to walk from there to the Mirage, and it was brutal. And all I kept thinking to myself was, man, the Browns are bad, and man, the Raiders are not much better. I know the Raiders won that game.
And that's the problem, is they are. Like, it wasn't an overreaction. It wasn't that. And again, we're going to dig into the Browns here in a minute.
Anyway, back to the Bucks.
So within a matter of 2 weeks of winning the national title, both our defensive coordinator and our offensive coordinator are gone. Okay, so here's going to be a genuine question.
Shoot.
When do we hit the panic button?
So I really would have said after the Jim Knowles thing, I unless I have missed something, I have not seen the story behind the story. I do know that he was negotiating with somebody else on his own, and that Ohio State told him to stay away from the championship celebration last Sunday.
So I've heard it was quite a toxic battle between Jim Knowles and the rest of the coaching staff. A lot's kind of come out since then. And it's kind of been all season. And I can kind of see where the snap was. And it was the Oregon game, the first Oregon game. He wanted to still run his 3-man, and Ryan Day's like, no, we're going to try something else. We lost. We got to make adjustments. So the one thing I talk a lot of trash about Ryan Day, and I again, that's not a new thing. This has been a cumulative thing. But he does know how to make adjustments. I will give him that.
Absolutely.
So,
Unless they're playing Michigan.
Again, I want that game to be studied, and we're going to talk about them in a minute too. So hold your pants. But
she coming for you, Ann Arbor. She coming for you, and she's not far away from you.
Ask Malik Zaire what
what's about to happen. Oh,
just saying.
Friend of the pod, Malik Zaire. Anytime he wants to come on, please come on.
That?
Anytime he wants to come on, we'd love to have you, Malik.
We would love to have you, Malik. I would love to just have a nice little, just a friendly chat. I just want to talk. Just want to talk a little bit. Just a little snack. We'll have snacks. Okay. Like that'll be fine. That's fine.
So anyway, am I worried? Am I worried? As you were saying, it seems like the Jim Knowles thing was not going to work anyway.
Right.
He would, and in my mind, I'm like, it's Ohio State. They just got a natty. Oh, a friend of mine said we quit saying natty, so natty. They're like, I'm so sick of hearing the term natty. Well, sorry.
To be fair, it does make me kind of like. So
okay, national champ. They are national champions. They are a national championship program. They will find a defensive coordinator.
See, made adjustments.
The Chip Kelly thing surprised me, but it kind of doesn't. And the reason I say that is Chip Kelly is Ryan Day's mentor. He is a pivotal figure personally to Ryan Day.
Okay.
And when I was kind of processing this, and once again, if we remember, he was not going to be the offensive coordinator last year. Jim O'Brien was. And then Jim O'Brien, he actually accepted the Ohio State job and then immediately went to Boston College to be the head coach.
Right.
Chip Kelly came in, swooped in, once again, gave a championship performance as the offensive coordinator, running that ridiculously highly efficient offense. I always wondered if this was a one-offer. And when you told me today, and by the way, congratulations to you, BB. I get a text from you going Chip Kelly too, and some explicatives, and then as soon as I got yours, it took me a second to get back to you because Bleacher Report, Yahoo Sports, The Athletic, all the notifications hit right after you. I'm like, BB broke it. BB broke it. 2 weeks in a row, breaking Buckeyes news. No, so I think the Chip Kelly one was probably expected, and if you remember too, and I don't know if it's something he wants, but when is Brian Hartline going to be the full-time OC? Like he's always been co-offensive coordinator and call plays. I think maybe it's that time that Brian Hartline gets that responsibility if he wants it. If he doesn't, he can just keep recruiting receivers and putting them in the NFL for all I care. But the guy, he's obviously brilliant at what he does. He's the best position coach, I think, in a college. And it would, I would love it for him to get that opportunity. But I'm sure this was probably something that Ryan Day and Chip Kelly knew was going to happen when he took this job. And to be honest, I don't know if a college assistant can pay what a professional assistant. I don't know I know college assistants can make 7 figures. I just don't know if they make the same 7 figures you make in the NFL as being an offensive coordinator. But that one doesn't surprise me. The Jim Knowles one obviously did, but as you said, now the stuff's coming out. Like maybe it's best for everybody. And Ohio State's going to get a good defensive coordinator. And by the way, like you said, kudos to Ryan Day. Standing up, but he's the head coach.
Stand 10 toes, man.
Yep, you got it. Sometimes it sucks, but you got to tell your assistants who's the boss. You really do. As Hugh Jackson famously said on HBO one time, I'm the bus driver.
And the wheels came off, Hugh.
And
So
to think the 2 minute that conversation will be fired about 4 weeks into the season is still incredible. Incredible. Anyway,
you indeed were the bus driver, my dude. The problem was you drove us off a cliff. So
that all being said, BB.
Speaking of like possibly driving off a cliff,
let's talk about this, because you actually used a term that kind of surprised me, but you came with receipts, and I'm going to let you tell your tale here in a second. But you said you put the University of Michigan.
I did.
And the term death penalty together. And I'd like to turn it over to you, because I want to hear this.
So, everyone knows that there's been the Michigan cheating scandal. And the NCAA went out with a huge, they had a booklet of everything that Michigan was being alleged of. Now, what I will say is the University of Michigan actually does have a phenomenal law program. That's not shade. That actually is. So you have their alumni now who are fighting tooth and nail for their alma mater. So they've been getting extensions and things like that. That's why it's been dragged out so far. So why I think that the death penalty is on the table, and I know there are going to be Michigan fans that are going to come in this context, all in our comments, and well, we beat you and we live rent free in your heads, and okay, cool. So about this, you can't sit here and minimize what happened. Yes, do people get signals and signs? Obviously. Do you scout in person within reason? Do you go to the opposing team who you are going to be facing in a couple weeks and weasel your way onto the sidelines? Absolutely not. So it is a bigger problem than they're trying to make it out to be.
But before you get going, if I may say something, it's not just that, because it's never just the crime.
No.
And this is, I think, where you're going to go. It's the cover-up. And
it is, and that's the problem. So the fact that, one, this was a multi-year deal. It was how this went. This has never been seen before in college football, and it is really kind of it's changed the landscape a lot. So here's the deal. The NCAA leaves out 11 allegations against the University of Michigan for all of this. 6 of them are considered level 1, which not good.
So one is the worst. One is the worst.
One is the worst. Right. So now the University of Michigan is already on probation from the NCAA starting from 2023 because of COVID problems. So now, because they're already on probation, that puts you in the repeat offender category. So not only is the crime bad enough, now you've been sent to the principal's office multiple times, and the tiers of possible penalties is going to get a lot stronger. Then you have, a couple of days ago, Yahoo Sports did an extensive article and also highlights the fact that now Sharon Moore, the head coach of Michigan, is deleting all of the texts from Connor Stalions. And his excuse was, now here's the deal. If you can't BS a BSer here, my dude, because here's the deal. If you're going to you're going to delete the texts, don't come up with an argument where it was like, I just didn't want to see his name in my phone anymore. You sound like a bitter baby mama who is mad. That's all it is. And you're pouting. But let's call it what it is. You're deleting evidence. So the NCAA put out their report, I believe a year ago. And it has taken Michigan this long to respond. So they came out, I want to say it was this week, with 137 pages as their response. You know what it amounts to? Literally, if the NCAA and the University of Michigan are faced off across the table from each other, NCAA says you did X, Y, and Z. 137 pages of, nah, we didn't do that. Okay, we did that, but it wasn't as bad as you're saying it is. Like, we only did it a little bit. Like, you know, and the benefits were way less than you think. And you know, blah, and Ohio State didn't have our signs, and you still did it. You still were caught with your hand in the proverbial cookie jar. So it's literally, first of all, why does it take 137 pages to defend yourself if you haven't done anything wrong? That's my question.
One of my favorite takes goes to right what you just said there. Half, I didn't read all 137 pages. I did the Cliff Notes version. I read the Yahoo article and then the Cliff Notes version to this.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's response literally is like, well, we did some of this, but it didn't really affect the play on the field. There's some of it where we didn't do it, but if we did, it wasn't a big deal. And that's what that alumni of lawyers brought you.
Right. That is what your alumni is bringing you. So, and here's why. And again, this is all this.
And by the way, I apologize because I don't want to cut you off again. If you didn't do anything, Michigan, why did you self-impose penalties last year? Why did Jerome Moore and Jim Harbaugh not coach a couple games last year? Okay.
That's a good question. So this is why I think the death penalty is on the table. Because before everyone was talking, you know, it's going to be, you know, vacating wins and now, vacating a national title, possibly bull bans, the whole nine. So it could have been bad, but now it's bad because you're on that repeat offender category. Just to put things into perspective, okay? 2010, Tattoo Gate. So for those of you who were not born in 2010, first of all, like and subscribe, please and thank you. Welcome. But also, so 2010, players in Columbus they're trading Ohio State memorabilia and other things for money and for tattoos. Okay.
By the way, all perfectly legal in 2025 now.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that.
Yep. Okay.
So it was a whole big thing, and why it was a bigger thing for Ohio State. You know, our players were wrapped up in it. However, the owner of the tattoo shop in Columbus was being investigated by the FBI for money laundering, tax evasion, like nasty stuff. So we were found to be guilty. What we got as punishment for all of that were all of our wins from the 2010 season vacated. The 2011 Sugar Bowl win, we had a postseason ban in 2012. We were on probation for 2 years after that. Tressel, who ended up falling on the sword for this, had a 5-year show clause placed on him by the NCAA. And we lost a total of 5 scholarships over a period of 3 years for players taking money and exchanging Ohio State memorabilia, specifically the gold pants that are won from the game, and other things. So yeah, and you're right. Now, this is all stuff that's legal in 2025 because you're paying the players.
Can I add a little icing on top of that cupcake there? In 2012, Urban Meyer's first year,
Mm-hmm.
who was the best team in college football? The Ohio
It'll
State
be-
Buckeyes,
It'll be the Ohio State University.
who went undefeated but could not play in the 14 playoff because of Tattoo-Gate.
Yep. Because of that postseason ban.
So major implications
Absolutely.
from something that's completely legal now.
And speaking of the fact that it's completely now, last August, former Ohio State quarterback Terrell Pryor was calling for all of the stats, the records, and the wins to be reinstated. And I know he did it roughly around 2016-ish. I want to say is when he first started to do this, and the NCAA was like, no, we're not doing it retroactively. However, now that we've seen with Reggie Bush getting his Heisman reinstated, I think it might be time to look at that conversation again. And, you know, because there were guys that were on those teams that obviously are setting and breaking records. So they deserve to have that as their accomplishments and their accolades. Obviously the wins, you know. So it would be nice as kind of a reparation for, at the time, yes, the punishment did fit the crime. However, considering the landscape of the NCAA and college football in general, now all of that is legal. So, I mean, maybe we take a look at it. Maybe we don't. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what comes out from this. Like I said, this is why I think that's on a table. And they don't want to use that because obviously it's going to hurt the kids. And that's what they don't want to do. But the punishment has to fit the crime. And this has only been used one other time in college football.
Was that SMU?
SMU.
Yeah, they got the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a question, BB.
Hmm?
As we know, Ryan Day has quietly, and not brazenly, but he's been on a revenge tour here the last 6 weeks or so.
A little bit.
How poetic would it be if Michigan gets a 3-year wiping of the record, lose their national title, and also lose their 3 tainted victories against the Ohio State University?
I mean, that obviously...
Is there a world where this happens?
Possibly. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
We're talking 21, 22. We're talking 21, 22, 23, and 24, right?
I want to say it's only going to go up until 23.
Okay.
Possibly. I'm not sure.
Unless they continued obstructing, which is clear they obstructed this.
Absolutely.
They continue obstructing until last season. And then their national title then goes in danger.
There was another thing that the Yahoo Sports article kind of made me giggle at. For the longest time when this broke, they were all talking about, you know, oh well, it's Ryan Day who tipped him off, and then that little rumor died down. And then, well, his brother's a private investigator, and he's the one who's doing it. And they're just mad because we keep beating them. First of all, boys and girls of the state the city that's literally about an hour and a half away from me. How many years before you did this did Ohio State put belt to ass? How many? Because I'll wait. Go ahead. How many wins over Ohio State did Harbaugh have before he ran away to the NFL? Because he knew this was coming. Again, the man has a permanent duh face. He knew what was going on. He absolutely knew.
This is like, I can remember, same thing Pete Carroll did with the Reggie Bush stuff. And once again, if you're too young to remember, you know, in the early 2000s, after the Miami dynasty and then Ohio State wins the national title in 2002, it was USC. Yeah. Like USC was a power for 3-4 years. And Pete Carroll was their head coach. and all the stuff, the allegations came out about Reggie Bush and, why he lost his Heisman. They had to vacate wins, and Pete Carroll went to the NFL and, let the university, and USC has never recovered. They have never recovered from that.
They really haven't. Competitive wise, no.
No. And once again, Jim Harbaugh just followed that same path. It did not surprise me he went to the NFL last year. No. I had it would have surprised me had he not went to the NFL, because he knew that this was coming down no matter how long they delayed it. Mm-hmm. Whatever penalties are going to be levied on Michigan, they're going to be heavy, whether it's a death penalty or not. They're getting hammered. So if you are a U of M fan, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some pain to all this.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not the necessary, it's not the crime. It's the crime on top of being on probation for violating COVID recruiting rules. It's the crime for then covering up and lying to investigators. And then once again, our bad, we'll self-impose penalties, and then you'll get off us. So now you're just trying to deter the investigation. Right. And once again, in 130 some pages, you're trying to say you did nothing. Then why did you suspend your coaching staff?
Right. Well, here's my other question, though. If you didn't do anything wrong, why, before Jimmy left for the NFL, why did he ask for immunity?
Oh, I did not know he did that.
Oh, yeah. He was trying to soften the blow on himself before he left. And
I was going to say, in case you're wondering, by the way, folks, if this question actually came up in a conversation I had this week about all this. If Michigan is found, guilty, and they get the proverbial hammer from the NCAA, yes, the NFL can absolutely take action on Jim Harbaugh.
Really? I did not know that.
They absolutely can. That Pete Carroll had sanctions.
Okay.
When Jim Tressel had to show cause for 5 years, had he went to, because there was a talk that he was going to go to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Like, there was talks between them. That show cause goes with him to the NFL. So they don't get to just escape it.
So he does now. So Jimmy is currently under a 4-year show cause, though.
Yeah.
Unless that goes into effect when this is all handed down. I thought he was, but I'm not overly sure.
But I do know the NFL has the power to levy sanctions against a coach who was involved in something in the NCAA.
Good to know.
So yeah, and I just remember that from the whole Jim Tressel, who did fall on the sword for those kids.
He did,
and cost himself a job. Ohio State let him go at that point, and literally one of the best men ever to coach football. Just. Reading tip for you kids out there. If you're an athlete and you are looking for a great read from a great coach, The Winner's Manual by Jim Tressel is one of my favorites. He started writing it when he first started coaching. All his players read it, and it got bigger and bigger as years go on. They finally published it. It is a fantastic read on how to do sports right, how to be a good person, how to be a moral stand-up guy even in the heat of battle. And once again, highly recommend it. I got it somewhere around here in the house. But great read. And obviously another one too, weird enough. Pete Carroll wrote a book years ago. It was fantastic too. I read that one also. Yeah, there's funny we mentioned Pete Carroll, who's now at 73, I think, now back in the NFL.
Las Vegas,
him and Chip. And let's get Pete Carroll, his book on coaching was fantastic also. Just throwing those out there if anybody's looking for good quick reads. They're not very long. Very good stuff.
So my last little thing to kind of wrap up our segment on the Buckeyes here is, like I said, a lot of Michigan fans wanted to scream that it was Ryan Day that turned everybody in, or it was his brother, or it was, whatever. It hasn't been released, but the NCAA report that the call originated from someone on Michigan's staff. And there is a lot of speculation as to who. And I have an idea as well. And I'm not sure because again, nothing has been published. Nothing has been, but guys, the call was coming from inside the house. Just saying.
Yeah, I saw that too. That made me laugh. I mean, yeah. I LOL'd on that one. That was probably my favorite part of the report was the fact that they tried to pin it on Ryan Day of all people. And yeah, it came from a concerned coach who said, "Oh, what we're doing here is illegal." And
wasn't a coach; it was actually a coordinator.
Oh, or coordinator. Well,
allegedly,
yeah, coach, somebody on the staff. And my favorite part about the article is that person is still anonymous, yet the university is trying really hard to pressure the NCAA to release the name.
They absolutely want to know. And here's the thing:
they got narked on, and they don't know.
If it's who I think it is, they're no longer with the program.
So should we, since it's alleged? I'm interested to hear who you think it is, or do you want to not say that? It's up to you.
I have no repercussions from it. That's fine.
So
allegedly, the whispers on the internet. So that must be true.
Oh, absolutely.
It was their former head coach or former OC, Mike Hart, was the one who actually was the one who blew the whistle.
Yeah,
allegedly.
He's still on staff, right?
No.
Oh, I thought Mike Hart was still on the staff.
No.
Oh, wow. Well, I had to hear when
he basically had a heart attack on the field. Right.
Yeah.
And I believe after that, I want to say he stepped down. I could be wrong.
I didn't know if he was still on staff or not, but all I know is when his senior year, when they played Ohio State, I had to hear human story after human story about how great of a guy Mike Hart was. So if it was him who blew the whistle, it kind of checks. At least the college game day and the hype they put in behind that guy.
So I mean,
crazy.
We will see. So we'll see as the cheating scandal turns, but let's graduate a little bit here. Let's go up north.
So yeah, let's go to another fan base looking for some redemption. Ohio State looking for a little redemption, and in their losses to Michigan, and Michigan maybe tainted victories. All I know, BB, is although you and I were vehemently against the signing of Deshaun Watson, we had many long talks about that back in the day.
I refuse to call him by his name.
Yes, you do, and haven't since. And we had a lot of those talks, and it's one of those rare times where we are 100% lock and step in our opinions about that signing. What angered me about it, and we saw a little bit of it this year, was other fan bases saying that Cleveland fans welcome this guy.
Deserve it. Yeah.
And particularly fan bases in the AFC North.
Could this be a potential rival?
Well, here's the thing.
That we have some bad blood and some bad history with? Could it be?
I didn't hear a lot from Cincinnati fans, and there's amazingly enough, there's a lot of Cincinnati fans north of Columbus. There really are.
There are.
I mean, Browns fans are heavily outnumbered. But where I heard it from was two particular places. One, about 2 hours east of me here, in the great state of Pennsylvania.
The
Yinzer Nation, who spent 15 years defending Ben Roethlisberger, who credibly raped multiple women.
That's not what I'm laughing at, by the way. Hold on. That's not what I'm laughing about.
Oh, go ahead.
When his first game back after all of that broke was in Cleveland, and the crowd could be heard on the television cameras screaming, "No means no." So that's what I was laughing at.
And it
rape
does.
is absolutely 100% not funny.
Not funny.
When
we do not support laughing at rape on this pod.
No, we absolutely do not. When the Haslams brought Touchy McFeely into Cleveland, I was actually one of the people who actually did donate to the Cleveland Women's Rape Crisis Center. So no, that is not what I was laughing at. Just throwing it out there.
We donated to a couple charities here in Worcester that night. And I had to hear from Yinzer Nation about this, and and by the way, as somebody who knows people who personally know Ben Roethlisberger, those indiscretions weren't the only ones.
Oh no.
And I'm not going to get to it on the pod. We're not going to get to it, but that guy is not a good person. He is not a good dude. And Pittsburgh fans justified it. They continue to root for him. They continue to wear his jersey.
They still
get no
do.
say. Yeah, you get nothing. Now, this week changed the narrative even a little more, because let's talk to you in Maryland, Baltimore.
Were they this color?
Yeah. So, BB, I'm sure you heard.
Hold on.
I'm sure you heard. So, little history here. When Deshaun Watson was being investigated by the National Football League, and we kind of hung on everything, not just because we wanted him not to get punished, but it was really like it affected our team. So we knew the ins and outs of that investigation of what we could publicly get. I know Sue Ann Robinson's name still ingrained in my heart, or in my head, in my heart, because I had to hear that name about her investigating for the NFL as the independent arbiter for the NFL. Anyway,
so much.
Do you know how many cases that they investigate? Now, Deshaun Watson had 20 some credible allegations against him. Do you know how many cases
27.
Six. Well, 27 total, but do you know how many cases the NFL actually investigated? They took the 6 strongest cases against him.
Really?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
And that was the investigation. They based it off those 6 allegations. They were the strongest, and they said that's enough. And obviously, it was enough. It ended up ruining Deshaun Watson's career. Like, it absolutely did. We're looking in hindsight.
No. Because we're not going to do that. Because this investigation did not ruin his career.
No. Not the investigation.
His career.
Yeah, no, the allegations and then his actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in no way am I going to give that guy any leeway. So this week it was revealed that we have another fan of private masseuses in the AFC North, in the city of Baltimore, who was first to jump all over the Browns signing Deshaun Watson. His name is future Hall of Famer Justin Tucker.
Oh, no!
Now, I find it ironic that this year, unlike every other year in this man's career, he was not good. He's been the best kicker. We're talking historically, maybe the best kicker in history. And this year, he was not good. And he
has a nickname between my person and I can't say the full name on the pod, but it's because of his accuracy. He is one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL. We call him Justin effing Tucker. So, and apparently that's in more ways than one.
Yeah, you guys are a little prophetic in your nickname for him. So Justin Tucker, legend for the Baltimore Ravens, has been accused by 6 women. There's that number again. Is it up now? Did it go up? Okay, so initially it was 6, and that's why I knew the connection there to the NFL investigation. And this has been happening. And once again, both these guys got in trouble during COVID. Like, this happened during COVID when they couldn't get into the facilities. Well, Tucker's went beyond COVID. Most of Deshaun Watson's happened 2020, 2021. But Justin Tucker seems like he got a little handsy. And
not just handsy.
What the amazing thing was with Justin Tucker is I saw a whole bunch of text from people in Baltimore talking about, and this is in 2021, how he had been banned, and they were making jokes about him being banned from massage parlors. So this has been something known in Baltimore, yet this guy was still, king of the town. He's still, still untouchable. And so, as I said to you when this stuff came through,
apparently when it comes to him, though, nobody is untouchable.
Well played.
Just saying.
I got a public service announcement for Roger Goodell. Raj, you listening to me, buddy? Hi, like and subscribe, buddy. It's good to have you on the pod. Roger Goodell, you brought a lot of energy to Deshaun Watson, and well warranted. We here at the pod will not disagree with your punishment, the veracity of your investigation. Those women deserve justice, and I'm hopefully they have gotten their justice. And looking at what happened to Deshaun Watson's career, it's a little, just like I said, cherry on top for those women. But Raj, buddy, you're making $50-60 million a year as commissioner in the NFL. That's a lot of money for a lawyer. Lawyers do well, but that's a lot of money for a lawyer.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure of something. Please bring that same energy to Be More. Please make sure that investigation of Justin Tucker, the clean cut guy, the beloved
Mr. Family Man.
Mr. Family Man, Mr. Family Values, maybe that's up in the air now, but guaranteed future Hall of Famer, which kickers just don't do. Just bring that energy. Just bring it. That's all we ask. We just ask you. You give those women the same, once again, veracity of an investigation that you gave the women for Deshaun Watson. Justin Tucker gets the same consideration of fines, levies, punishments that we saw given to Deshaun Watson, because those women deserve justice too.
Absolutely.
And when Sue Robinson comes back and says, I can only give him a 6-game punishment, you kick another 5 in there like you did for DW4. Raj, please do that for us. That's all we ask. And because Roger, and I was going to say, I'm sorry, BB, just one more thing. Roger, if you don't do this, if you don't do the right thing, I don't know if it matters to you or not, but there are going to be accusations. And they are accusations that are not going to sit well with the NFL Players Association. BB, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but my God, if a white player got off a lot easier than a black player in the NFL, there's going to be some questions to answer, Raj. And I'm warning you that right now. I'm trying to do you a favor. We'd love to have you on the pod, make you a friend of the pod. But Roger,
we'll give you a T-shirt, Raj.
Come in here, buddy. Do the right thing. Take care of this. Take care of that guy, and to give those women justice. That's all we care about on the pod. Thank you.
When I saw that break, first of all, after I picked my jaw up off the floor, because for the longest time he was Mr. Squeaky Clean, Mr. Family Man.
Oh, absolutely.
Mr. Accuracy, all of that nonsense. And again, he's been vilified for both Cleveland and Detroit fan bases for many reasons, for just, doing his job. And after I picked up my jaw off the floor, my first thought was, and this is not great, but man, Cleveland just can't have anything, can we? We have a guy that has allegations. Now you have to have a guy that has allegations too. You wanted a football team. You took ours. We can't have anything.
By the way, we should do a pod.
This is not something that we want, but still, get your own crap.
I was at some friend's house Friday night, and I had to explain. They're quite a bit younger than me. No. They're in their 30s. But they were little kiddos.
Young. Okay, got it.
Yeah. No, they're little kiddos when the Browns left, and I had to explain to them. They were not. One was kind of aware. The other one, yeah, Abby, I'm talking about you, friend of pod, Abby. she was not aware at all of what
Hey, girl,
what had
hey.
happened, what had happened, and so we had a really awesome conversation where I explained Art Modell. We were actually watching a great movie. Can I give a movie review real quick?
Oh,
Because it says deal with the Browns. So our friend got invited over to a friend's house, and we watched a movie called One Night in Miami. Have you ever heard of that movie?
I have not.
Put it on your list. It's a true story. Now we don't know how true the conversation was, but after Muhammad Ali beat Sonny Liston, he was Cassius Clay still, beat
Okay.
Sonny Liston in Miami.
Okay.
4 men went to a hotel room. Sounds like a bad joke.
Uh-oh.
But 4 men went to actually a motel room in Miami, and a lot of things in America changed due to that. So I'm going to kind of set this up for you. It's a must watch. At this
I'm gonna
fight,
need you to use more words because
where Ali upset Sonny Liston and beat him and became the champion.
Right.
On commentary was Cleveland Browns running back Jim Brown. He was actually doing guest commentary for the fight.
Really?
Him and Ali were good friends.
Okay.
In the crowd, taking pictures with his brand new camera was Ali's spiritual advisor, Malcolm X. And if you ever watch the actual film, and I watch this movie, I'm like, I remember that. Not that I was there, but that I remember.
You remember seeing it?
Cassius Clay. I remember seeing the film of it. He wins the fight. He wins the fight, and he goes, "Look, there's Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, you're the only man pretty as me in Miami. Sam Cooke, I'm the champion. I'm the great." He does the whole thing, and it was Sam Cooke, who is one of my all-time favorite artists. Well, here, those 4 guys literally met in a motel to talk about their place in the movement, in the civil rights movement. So after Ali wins a championship, now he has all the cred. He's Cassius Clay. He becomes Muhammad Ali the next day. That was part of the discussion. He commits to Islam and Malcolm X.
Right.
But Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, and Cassius Clay, soon to be Muhammad Ali the next day, literally hashed it out about their roles, and the movie is just amazing. The acting, the writing. So that guy's talking about the history of the Browns and Jim Brown's role, because Jim Brown's going to end up, Art Modell bought the team. Jim Brown wants to go out and spend a couple of days filming The Dirty Dozen. Art Modell said, "I'm going to heavily find you." So Jim Brown retired. Once again, Art Modell, greatest villain in probably Cleveland sports history. But he'd already just ran Paul Brown out of the town, and then he runs Jim Brown out of town. It's funny for a guy who owns the Browns. He really hates guys with the last name Brown. But anyway, we were talking about the the Browns in '95, and I think in the off season we should probably do a public service and talk about that here.
Yeah.
In the future, I think that'd be a really kind of cool pod topic. Go ahead.
There's actually, and we can definitely delve into it, but there's an absolute, if we're throwing out recommendations here, there was an ESPN 30 for 30 special called Believe Land. And it talks about the history of Cleveland sports, and it details everything that led up to 1995, the 95 season, and where it kind of culminated. And it's really kind of interesting to see the curtain pulled back. And what I'm about to say is going to seem controversial, but for as much of a villain as Art Modell is in the city of Cleveland and for Browns fans everywhere, he actually did a lot of good for the city of Cleveland and for football in general. So we can definitely dig into that a lot. But his legacy, unfortunately, is because you took the team. And Cleveland was without football for 4 years. And those were a long 4 years.
That was my entire, literally the span of me in college. I went into college 96. I came out in 2000. Didn't have Browns football. 99 they came back.
99, yeah.
So, for Ravens fans out there, just kind of get back on here.
Mhm.
We have a lot of beef, but
Oh yeah.
I'm going to ask you, don't be a Yinzer.
Yeah.
Don't defend this man. I don't care what he's done for your city.
Come with that same energy. Like,
yep.
Don't,
because I'm going to tell you
sit here and
I'm going to tell you right now,
excuse it.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore fans, I'm going to tell you right now, a heavy majority of Browns fans hated the signing of Deshaun Watson, a heavy majority. And you saw that in your reaction when he got hurt. There was people overjoyed knowing that guy wasn't going to be quarterback. Right or wrong, bad taste, good taste, whatever you're feeling, it doesn't matter.
Right.
That was an indication of how relieved Cleveland was that they knew they weren't going to have to deal with that guy anymore. And so I'm just letting you know, Baltimore, come with the same energy. Raj, come with the same energy. Now, let's move on here. I know you've been wanting to talk a little bit about Brook Park and what's going on with the new stadium. So you got an update for us, Phoebe?
Now, hold on. Let me ask you something. Do you want to talk about Brook Park, or do you want to talk about the draft? Because because we could dedicate some more. Let's do Brook Park next week, so we give it some more time. All right.
I know we both have feelings on the Browns relocating.
We do. And again, and I told you a couple of pods ago, when we actually do get into this and we dig into the stadium and the whole Brook Park of it all, this may be the first time in upwards of 10 years you and I are going to fight. I'm just saying, it's going to happen. So tune in next week.
And
if our valiant co-hosts can still play nice with each other. No, I'm kidding.
So, no. And I hope you guys understand that BB scares me. Like she brings it. She brings it. And I know that she's going to be coming once again with receipts to this argument. So I will be prepared. Let's touch on the draft. And we were going to actually we recorded some stuff on the draft and we had some technical difficulties last week. So we had to get rid of it. But I do want to talk about a couple of things here. Has the Senior Bowl week just wrapped up? The Senior Bowl was yesterday, the week of practice, and we are at full-on draft season. I know the Super Bowl is next week, but for really, most of the NFL, for 30 teams in the NFL, it's draft season.
It is. So, it's a silly season.
And to be honest with you, I hope both Kansas City and Philadelphia lose this next week. So, well, we'll talk a little Super Bowl. We'll do a little pre-Super Bowl pod next week. Sound good? So the draft. There's been a lot of talk that this is a very poor year for the Browns to have the number 2 pick and need a quarterback. And one of the reasons is the draft gurus are saying that only 2 players have first-round draft grades at quarterback. One is Cam Ward from Miami, my boy. And the other one is primetime son Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. Both have a lot of potential. Both have definitely deficiencies in their game. But I want to talk about the gurus because we tend, the draft experts, because we tend to have a short memory on what was said last year. So all I keep hearing is a lot of Browns, the discussion, at 2. Do we choose one of the 2 quarterbacks? Do we take best player available? Do we and not take a quarterback? Do we try to trade back and then, get a quarterback later? Whatever it is. The Browns have to get a quarterback in this draft, and they really have to get a quarterback that has a potential for starting. Like, there's no doubt. Because I want to explain something to the Browns fans out there. The only way you can nullify Deshaun Watson's cap hit is get a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. That's it. That's it. So that cap hit that Deshaun Watson's going to provide to you will be nullified if you have a starting quarterback on a rookie contract. That's the money. That's how it works. You're not going to win with any of the free agents that are a possibility. They might get you, but you're not going to compete. The only way you're going to compete is you find the guy in the draft. So what I keep hearing is that guy's not here this year. That guy's not here. This quarterback class is right, and that's where I'm going to get to.
The combine hasn't happened yet.
And that's what I'm going to get to, because I want to actually take my favorite draft guy is actually another fellow Mount Union preparator, a guy named Dane Brugler. Big fan of his. He graduated a few years after me. He puts together this massive PDF. So if you subscribe to The Athletic, one of the kind of the perks of being an Athletic subscriber is you get Dane Brugler's Beast, and that's what they call his draft guide. It is intense, to say the least. Like,
Okay.
this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows every one of these kids. He is really, really strong on where they should be drafted. I know NFL front offices lay credence to his work. Like, I know that. And let's put it this way: him and Mike Sirianni went to school at the same time. Him and Matt Campbell went to school. Like, you know, he knows people in the NFL and NCAA. Yeah, so Dane Brugler, giving you a shout out. Love to have you on the pod, buddy. Go Raiders. Like and subscribe. So I did a little research. And last year in the Beast, I want to give you 3 names. Okay. Now, we were told about how last year was an all-time quarterback draft.
Okay.
Six quarterbacks went in the first round. 6 quarterbacks actually went in the top 12 last year.
Right.
Crazy. Okay. This time last year,
Mm-hmm.
how many first round grades do you think quarterbacks had? How many quarterbacks had a first round grade?
No.
Do you think it was 6? 3.
3. Okay.
Okay, so Caleb Williams, who was supposed to be a generational talent, had some struggles. Probably not his fault. Probably Bears. We'll see what your boy Ben Johnson does with him this coming year in Chicago. Sorry, touched a nerve. Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner, had a first round grade, and Drake May. Okay, and those 3 went in the top 5. Okay, Drake May at New England. Only 3 first round grades.
Right.
Okay, but in the next 10 picks, 3 more quarterbacks went. Okay, so Bo Nix goes to Denver, number 12.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix, this time at the Beast, had a 2nd to 3rd round grade. Last year, this time, Atlanta picked Michael Penix. Okay, 2nd to 3rd round grade. The only person that had a borderline first round grade but was given a solid 2nd round grade was JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time last year, this was not an all-star quarterback class.
No.
Only 3 guys have first round grades. This year, only 2 guys have first round grades.
Right.
What this tells me is we're going to get 4 or 5 guys drafted in the first round. So 2 Browns fans out here, as you're doing your early draft prep and you want a quarterback and you think you're going to get Will Howard in the 3rd round.
No.
You think Jackson Darts fall into the 2nd round? Nope.
No.
When Jalen Milroe, I don't care how small that kid's hands are, when that kid runs at 4.3, 5.40, he ain't getting out of the first round. So I'm just want people to know. At number 2, this is the Browns' job. You find the guy. I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it's Will Howard. You find the guy and you draft him. And you make that kid your quarterback. That's what you have to do. You will not, once again, and by the way, Kevin, Andrew, I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're drafting 2 next year, you're fired. So you got to get that kid this year. You got to get that quarterback this year. So anyway, what I guess the moral of my story before, and I know you got a response to this, I guess the moral of my story, kids, is right now we're just learning about these kids. I will tell you right now, as a guy who gets online and does a whole bunch of mock draft simulators, I do it all the time. Before the Senior Bowl, Jackson Dart was not going until the 3rd or 4th round. Okay, Jackson Dart was the 3rd pick overall in the last draft simulator I did. So I'm just saying, the one position group where you're going to see guys flush to the front, it's going to be quarterback. And I will be highly surprised if 4 or 5 aren't taken in the first round. And by the time we get there, we're going to say, oh, this is actually a pretty solid quarterback class. Just because this happens almost every year. And last year, once again, if you look at what the draft analysts were saying before the Senior Bowl, they were not high on many of these guys.
Right.
Yeah. Like Bo Nix, the year he had, Sean Payton saw something in him. And he's like, I don't care, if he's, ranked 40th on our board, that's our quarterback. He went and took him and he had a Pro Bowl year. And so once again, Kevin, it looks like you have the keys to the car right now. It really looks like that
That's
with the coaching
terrifying.
decisions.
No, that's terrifying.
No, it looks like they're letting him run the show.
Well, it's a prove it year for him too.
It is. So go get your guy, make him the franchise. And you have that opportunity this year. You really do. Okay, BB, come at me.
All right. I'll be gentle. Don't worry. Hold on.
You're keeping that animosity and angst for next week.
Would I do that to you? No. Talking about the Senior Bowl though, really quick. Huge shout out to, and I can't think of his first name right now, and I'm really, really sorry. So come for me in the comments if you must. But the young man who caught the winning touchdown at the Senior Bowl yesterday, huge shout out. This kid has been through literally a month of hell. For those of you who don't know, his older brother played football for
Princeton.
Princeton, thank you.
Played for Princeton.
I knew it was Ivy League and I was going Harvard, but thank you. It was Princeton. And unfortunately was a victim of the attack that happened on New Year's Day in New Orleans, and unfortunately is no longer with us. So this kid has literally been through a month of hell. And to actually hear Bubba Ventrone speak about him after the game and after they had won, just nothing but glowing praise for this kid. And they really made him feel welcomed like family, and and the kid gave it literally all he had on the field. So good for him. Shout out for him. Also, why Bubba Ventrone? How in the hell did you get the phone call to be a coach at the scene? Did somebody call in sick?
Because the Browns were bad. That's why.
I understand because the Browns are bad, but don't put them near the seniors. Ew. Did somebody come down with like explosive diarrhea the week before? And we got to call somebody, and Bubba Ventrone? How?
I saw him on the side. I saw him on the sideline, and I just am still astonished he's employed by the Cleveland Browns.
That's another, and we'll get into that later, but
yeah.
All right. So number 2, let's get into it. I am not in the camp that we need to take a quarterback at 2. And I'll tell you why. There are so many needs on both sides of the ball in Berea right now, unfortunately. And what we need to do, and it's not the flashy thing, it's not the sexy thing to do, it's not the pick that's, everyone's going to be talking about. We need to stock the pantry is what we need to do. We need linemen on both sides. So if you're going to bring in, so here to play devil's advocate a little bit, and you're giggling at me already, and you're going to come back with something. Because when you smile, it makes me nervous. I am not going to detention. I ain't doing it. But so here's the deal. You bring in a rookie QB. Let's just play devil's advocate here. You bring a rookie QB in. One, you need a veteran QB in the room. We don't have
Absolutely.
one.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
We have nothing.
That's priority number 1 in free agency, by the way.
Correct.
Get a quarterback. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So if you do draft a quarterback, we absolutely do need a quarterback. You are right about that. Because we do need a rookie who has the potential to start, to take over the franchise, and hopefully lead us out of the basement. But he also needs a mentor. So there needs to be a veteran presence, and we can find that in free agency. Is he going to win every game for us? No. Is he going to be a serviceable quarterback that can, help shape and mold the rookie QB? Because if you put a rookie QB out there with the offensive line that we have now, everybody's healthy, game sets, everybody's re-healthy. we've seen what happens to first round picks in Cleveland. They get absolutely slaughtered. And I don't think, and it's not the caliber of the kids who are here. We have other needs. Who I would love to see, truthfully, I'd love to see Abdul Carter. I'd love to see Mason Graham. I'd like to see Will Campbell.
All great picks. All possible futures told. But if I may enter for evidence here.
Entering evidence.
So this past week, Jason Lloyd, who's a Browns beat writer, writes for The Athletic and the New York Times, released an article. Do you know what the most important stat in football for success is for a team's wins?
The higher score.
Okay, so let me. What stat leads to the higher score?
Okay.
There's one that has. It's actually a recent analytical stat, but they went back for years and saw this. It is called EPA. And I'm not going to get into how EPA is figured, but basically for every play a quarterback makes, it's a plus or minus, it's a percentage. And the higher plus you have, the more effective quarterback. And that translates more to wins, even more than turnover differential.
Okay.
And what got Jason Lloyd thinking about this was your boy Ben Johnson brought that up at his introductory presser for Chicago, saying that EPA was the most important stat. Jason Lloyd did his research, found out he's right. This is the single most important stat. So to further this, out of the 14 teams in the playoff, 13 of the quarterbacks with the highest EPA in the NFL were in the playoffs. The only one to miss was Joe Burrow. Okay. Who had an MVP type season, but for reasons So EPA is definitely a determinant of success. Now, why I bring this
called his wide receivers. Anyway, back to you.
No, hey, I'm not gonna have your feelings on Joe Burrow. That kid can ball.
No, he can. Absolutely. No, I said his problems were his wide receivers. It wasn't him.
I thought his problem. No, his problems with that defense was atrocious.
Right.
Except for Trey Hendrickson. He had a good year. But the reason I bring this up is I actually have an example of why we have to draft a quarterback.
Okay.
There was a team last year as historically bad statistically as the Browns were this year, and actually had a worse defense than the Browns did this year. Okay. The Browns were middle of the pack defensively. You might not have thought that, but they were. They actually had a really good second half of the season defensively.
Okay.
It was the Washington Generals. The Washington Generals went and drafted Jaden Daniels. And I'm not saying there's Jaden Daniels in this draft. I'm just saying they went and drafted the quarterback. And guess what that kid did?
Did they change their name?
I say Washington Generals. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so old that that's when I was watching baseball back in black and white. So, no.
Back in my day, Pepperidge Farm remembers the Washington Generals. I was like, are we breaking news?
No, the Washington Commanders. Sorry. I'm just glad I didn't say the Redskins. So let's put it that way. The Commanders go out and they draft Jaden Daniels, and guess what? They go to the NFC Conference Finals. And why? One position, one player, one high EPA. Jaden Daniels. He made the offense better. He made the offensive line better. He made the defense better because they weren't on the field all the time. One player. Quarterback is the most important position in all of sport.
It is. And I'm not telling you that we don't need a rookie QB. We absolutely do. I'm just saying we don't need to get him at 2.
Okay. So, and let's go back. Let me ask you this, BB, before we finish up.
Okay.
Ideally, if you could pick any quarterback that's coming out, and you know most of these guys, who would you? It doesn't matter where you pick, whatever. What kid do you want to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns next year? That's in the draft.
Selfishly, obviously, it's going to be Will Howard, but because I mean, here's why, and it's not just because of the for him playing for Ohio State, and we've said this and I've said it on the pod, on and off the field. First of all, the kid's a leader. He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Also,
by the way, you don't have to sell me Will Howard.
No, I know.
Don't
But here's why. I would love to see him in Cleveland as a breath of fresh air, as a palate cleanser for all the nastiness that we've had to deal with, because he's a good kid on and off the field, and he gets it. And first of all, he came into Ohio State knowing, the history and knowing that, and
pressure cooker, like
yeah,
even with all the pressure.
It's a high pressure environment, the high expectations. It's elevated. But also going into the Michigan game the previous year, you have you and I have fought about him, but Kyle McCord went in and said, it's just a football game. Sir, you say that in the city of Columbus, and it's on site. Like, it's done. Will Howard knew the gravity of that game. And yes, it didn't come out the way that we wanted it to. And that game, again, still should be studied for various reasons, but that's a totally different part. However,
go ahead.
What happened, though, is after that game, he put all of it from top to bottom on him. He didn't blame his teammates. He didn't blame the coaching staff. He didn't bitch about the refs. He put it right there, all on his shoulders. So here's the thing. He goes into Cleveland knowing the history of the Cleveland Browns franchise and what the fans have had to endure. I think he could turn him around.
Okay. He's the kind, and he's the same reason I wanted Baker Mayfield. When Baker was at the combine, if you remember, somebody said, hey, Cleveland's got the first pick. He said, I want to be the guy that changed that place.
Yeah.
Will Howard's got that same kind of attitude. Now,
he does.
That all being said, okay, who's the fastest riser? Who's the fastest quarterback riser right now in college football? Whose stock has risen more than anybody? Will Howard's, right?
Got to be Will Howard's, because you have a season where you have 4,000 passing yards. That's right. And that's also really kind of shocking that he's still not in the conversation of Shedeur and Cam Ward.
So here. Wait till we get to his pro day and wait till we get to the combine. He's going to be in that. He's going to be up in that conversation. And here's my point. You just laid out every reason why you think the Browns should take him number 2. You just laid it out, because there is a good chance when we get to April, that last Thursday in April, that kid ain't lasting to round 2. There is a very good. So here is my nightmare scenario. Okay, BB. The Browns don't like Cam or Shedeur, whatever one falls to. Okay, they don't like him, but they really like a kid like Will Howard. Okay, and they really like him.
They should.
And we're going down the draft board, and in the 20s is a team that likes Will Howard type body, thinks he'd be great in the AFC North. Somebody I already know who's sniffing around him, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Of course.
He this talent-wise, size-wise, and he's a better athlete. He's got Ben Roethlisberger written all over.
He's a hometown boy too. He's from Pennsylvania.
He's from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Okay, he is. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. He is from PA, Pittsburgh. I mean, they took Kenny Pickett. That kid was not even good in college in the first round. So trust me, I'm telling you right now, if Will Howard is on the board, that first pick, Pittsburgh, they're going to take him.
Absolutely.
So, going back to you, knowing that and knowing he's going to rise up, why not just take him at 2, get your quarterback? It's the most important position.
And I literally just talked myself into it, because
that was my internal dialogue, by the way. When this all started,
I know.
My internal dialogue was, oh, no, we can't take a quarterback, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, if quarterback is the most important position, which, we know it is,
It is.
Every metric tells you it's the most important position in sports.
Right.
The Browns need a quarterback. They're going to
Right.
have their choice of probably all but one, and Tennessee still might not even take a quarterback.
They should.
They should. They absolutely should, for the same reasons we're saying the Browns should. But if the
Right.
Browns identify two kids and say we can win in the future with one of these two kids,
Mhm.
say it's Shador, say it's Will Howard, say it's Jackson Dart, say I don't care, Dylan Gabriel, whoever.
Mhm.
You got to take them with that 2 pick. You got to take them. You got to make sure you get your guy, and then you roll.
That's fair.
And by the way, who would work great with a veteran QB? Who's not going to say I have to start right now, that I have stuff to learn? Will Howard.
Yeah.
Will Howard is going to come in there with the right attitude. He's going to do. We know he's going to outwork everybody. And if he's there too, and you got to take somebody. Once again, you just can't leave it to chance when you have the second pick. You got to pick the guy you want, and it's got to be a quarterback. And these guys are going to rise up. I'm telling you, by the time we get to April, there's going to be 4 or 5 guys that are going to get drafted in the first round. And the Browns, if they miss out, those guys are going to lose their jobs. Well, it's job security. They got to pick the guy. And so I know we're going to go on with this debate for another couple months.
We will. We'll revisit.
We will definitely revisit this as more and more of the offseason gets. I mean, we got the combine coming up here in a couple weeks, which is always fun.
We do.
Get to see a lot of guys in underwear running. That's always a good time.
That's like Christmas.
So no, we will revisit this, but I really think when we get past the combine, there's going to be a couple of these guys who just look amazing throwing against air, run really good 40s. Will Howard might go out there and bust a 4.5 40. Like Jalen Milroe's going to do a sub 4.4 40. Like these guys are going to shoot up the boards. And we have seen a lot of quarterbacks with a lot less talent, a lot less games played, get drafted in the top 10. Anthony Richardson 2 years ago, he only started like 17 games.
Well, that's because it was the games were interfering with his nap schedule, so he's tired, boss. He's real tired.
That's my point. Like there has been a lot of guys who have went a lot higher than they should have, because once again, at quarterback, sometimes you just have to take a shot. You got to shoot your shot, and when you're at number 2, you shoot your shot, get your quarterback, especially when you don't have them. Does New England have to take quarterback? Nope. They got Drake May. They can pick best available. The Browns need a quarterback. They got to do the right thing and take quarterback.
This is kind of like the perfect scenario that is mimicking draft day a little bit. Like a little bit.
You know me.
Kind of.
I'm still on the Cam Ward train. I just don't think he's going to be there at number 2. I think he's going to be the first pick, whoever takes him.
I don't think he's going to go number 1.
We'll see. We might have to have a friendly pod wager on that.
We might have to. Honestly, if we're going quarterback, if that's the route that they're dead set on going, selfishly, it's going to be Will Howard, no matter what. Put it on the little neon green Post-it note. Put it in your pocket. Will Howard, no matter what. Andrew,
do not let Pittsburgh get that kid. Do not let I do not want to deal with that kid for 15 years. Do not let Pittsburgh get that kid, please.
Pittsburgh has had a healthy stream of Ohio State products, and the buck stops here. There we go.
I love it.
So with that being said, any final thoughts, Mr. BC?
No, we'll preview. We'll do a quick preview. Although our preview of the Super Bowl next week really won't get on before the Super Bowl. But no, we'll talk. Yeah. We'll talk a little NFL, and after this week of news, I don't know if we can really plan a pod for next week. Seeing what's happened, so we'll just kind of see what happens. Maybe we'll get to Brook Park, maybe we won't, and we'll go from there. We'll talk about Saturday and Sunday.
See if there's any more breaking news that we have to
absolutely
scramble. We have to punt. So from the dog pound to the shoe and everything in between, I'm BB.
I'm BC.
This has been the I-71 Playbook Podcast.
Like and subscribe.